Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Stories Written by a Current Prisoner with your favorite journalist, Tony. I'm sure you guys are wondering, Tony, man, what's up with all these recycled interviews? What's up? Man, they had to go away for a certain period of time. However, man, I feel like these individuals' stories are so good and they have such a message behind them, and some of them that I feel like, man, it's my obligation to repost them, man, for the people can hear them. There's no use for these videos to be in the cut, man. It serves no purpose to anybody, especially to the individual who confided in me and to begin with, to put their message out there, to put their life story out there. So they are coming back. With that being said, I do have a slew of new interviews, ladies and gentlemen. It took me a while to put them together. However, I just didn't want to upload whatever. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't want to upload some BS or have something not up to par. Whatever I bring forward to the table, I want it to be good. I want it to be exclusive. Like I said, man, the 80,000 marker is coming up, and I do got a special surprise for you guys, man. I'm talking about, you already know how Tony does it, man. Let's go ahead and jump into this video, man. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Let's roll.
First and foremost, I just want to give a special shout out to all the people who's listening right now. Merry Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. Be safe out there, and happy holidays, and a special thank you and a Merry Christmas to you, my friend.
Thank you. Right back at you, and to everybody, the listeners, man. God bless you all. Merry Christmas, and to all my family, of course, and my family and my girlfriend as well, who I met through your show, man. It's been a blessing with her, having her in my life, and I call her my reina now. So it's pretty cool. Merry Christmas to all of you.
All right, man. With today's segment, I would like to begin with a certain individual. Can you tell me a little more about your experiences with the individual Tudi of Cucamonga?
Well, the thing with Tudi from Cuca, and this is, like I said, me knowing him and hearing all his stories, and I was with him 12 years as my neighbor, and became his secretary as well. Most people just know me as Tudy's secretary. No, I was Tudy's secretary for about 4 years before I started helping my celly Güero out. And the thing with Tudi is he got, in 1987, he was in Old Corcoran on 3C, which is a C facility, the level 4, level 3-ish yard. And back then he was on the yard with Güero from Verdugo as well, when Güero was just a sureño. And Güero Buff was there from the Carnal Güero Buff, one of the everybody knows as the founder of the Clica. He made Tudi because Tudi used to be like a real serious person. And back then, a lot of people know the system as being like they had a boxing. They used to have boxing on the yard, and Tudi was actually a real good fighter, man. He had a good reputation for being one of the best boxers on the yard, whether it was Old Corcoran or Tehachapi, the lower levels in Tehachapi. Tudi was a real good boxer, so Güero Buff took a liking to him, so he made him a carnal back then. Well, when he made him a carnal, there was a riot with the Norteños at the time, so everybody got dispersed. So Tudi ended up getting transferred to Tehachapi. And again, Tudi went with his reputation of being a good fighter. So when he was there, word was traveling that Güero Buff had made him a carnal. So the gang unit, the Gooners at the time were known, snatched him off the yard and put him in the hole right there in Tehachapi. Well, during that time, the carnales in the bay were shooting palabra that this was back in '87. They were shooting palabra to Tehachapi to stab Tudi because Tudi was not being acknowledged as a carnal, saying that nope, that he's not a brother, even though everybody would think that since Güero Buff is one of the founder, that obviously Tudi's going to get a direct line in, and no, he got declined, and they said no. So Tudi at the time had a green light out for him, and at this time Tudi gets transferred to Folsom, and he goes to Adseg, and then he goes to Pelican Bay on a layover. He lands at Folsom, and when he was there, he was still getting rejected by Indio from Sereno and other carnales that were there. They told Tudi Chales. So Tudi at this time arrives to Pelican Bay, and throughout this time, from '87 into 1994 or '93ish, when Tudi paroled, that's when Tudi paroled, and Tudi got out, and Tudi was intercepting kites coming to the streets to people from his area, from Cucamonga or the IE area, to take Tudi out, man. They really wanted him gone. So at this point, Tudi tells me a story one time when he had just got out and he was in front of his house mowing his lawn. His mom's house. He was mowing his lawn right there in Ontario. He was married, or wherever his mom was living at, and he was mowing her lawn, and a car drives by, and it was a carnal from Maravilla driving around with a car full of homies. And Tudi tells me, according, this is Tudi's story, saying that he just stood there frozen, but like letting them know, like, I'm not here, I'm not running, because he could have easily ran from his front lawn to avoid in case these guys were going to shoot at him. And he just stood there, and they looked at him, and they gave him like a little nod, and Tudi nodded back, and they kept driving. And well, at this point, Tudi did something out there, you know, to put him in good standing. And a brother from Florencia, you know, he you know, well, I'm gonna say Babos. Babos from Florencia gave him the okay to be a brother, and from there on, everybody embraced Tudi. So that's his padrino now, you know. Being that Güero Buff passed away, so they made Tudi. And after that, Tudi was out there running around and doing his thing and being a little, you know, being a carnal and everything that he has coming. So, you know, he's in and out of jail, and you know, and that's as far as him getting made. Now, fast forward to, you know, when I met him, and when I didn't meet him until '05, and when I met him, he had just, you know, he was in Tehachapi. For Tehachapi, he went to Corcoran, and well, a lot of people know why he's doing live. Well, I do know the story as far as why he's doing live. He was driving around with a camarada, and they were right there pulled over in Rialto. And the only reason I'm telling you the story is because for many people who heard of Tudi, there's always a speculation of whether he is or isn't a rat. Well, what happened was that him and his camarada were driving around. He had a camarada driving him, and it was right there in the Rialto area, and he got a call from his girlfriend, the guy that was driving him, and so they drove up to this house in Rialto, and his girlfriend comes out. This girl comes out and pulls out a gun at her boyfriend and tells this guy, like, hey, I know you're cheating on me, you know, and so Tudi gets out the car and says, hey, your boyfriend hasn't been cheating on you. He's been driving me around. Well, at this point, she pulls out a gun and says, no, you're cheating on me, and she's going to draw down on her old man. Well, the police come. So Tudi grabs the gun and takes it from her and puts it on top of the hood of the car. Well, the police come because somebody called the police saying there was a domestic dispute. So when the police show up, the police is like, hey, what's going on? They're like, oh, there's a misunderstanding. So the cop was about to leave until he seen the gun on top of the hood of the car. So he draws down on them and says, hey, you know, cuff up. He cuffs everybody up. And he asks, whose gun is this? And Tudi made the comment and said, it's hers. So that's the way they go. So when they searched the car, they realized there's two parolees here. They searched the car and they said, whose car is this? And the camarada says, it's mine. You know, and then he goes, all right. So they lift up the center guard of the car, and there's sponsors of in there. So they say, oh man, who's this? And right away the camarada takes responsibility for it. He says, it's mine. So when they put him in the back of the car, the cop says, hey man, you got a strike here on your file. You're gonna get struck out for this. So right away the camarada broke down and said, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. Now see that guy right there, that's Tudi from Cucamonga. He's a Mexican mafia member. So the cop says, oh. So boom, they arrest Tudi, and then this vato tells on Tudi, and so then Tudi gets to the county. Now there's a lot of speculation about Tudi did or didn't rat. Well, the only statement he made was regarding this female, you know, that it was her gun. And again, that's what Tudi got stricken out for, was 2 ounces of. And so fast forward to when I met him in '05, and until I came to this side. And Tudi's been he wasn't a carnal known for having a lot of money. So when he got to the court from Tehachapi, when he was in Tehachapi, he was real disciplined. He had all the Daniels working out like crazy. He had the reputation of each set of of his workout was 50 push-ups, and that was his thing, man. Everybody knew him as a real disciplined carnal. He worked out like crazy. So he gets transferred to Corcoran, and that's where he greets to all the carnales that are there, which is Roland from Watts, Fox from South Flows, Artie from King Cobras, Jack from Azusa, Sal Diaz from Logan, and Perico from Pimenta Flats, Mike Booth from Norwalk, and soon to be Güero from Verdugo and Rascal from Calexico. And as time went on, there was all these politics going on with Jack from Azusa and his family getting kidnapped on the street, and there was a lot of so Tudi made his name right there in Corcoran, and at this time all the carnales get transferred to Pelican Bay, aside from Tudi and Jack. And at this time they made Güero and Rascal from Calexico. So when they made them, they left the responsibility of Corcoran and watching over all the Sureños throughout California, because Corcoran is like a hub for them, because information goes in and out in the sense of in Pelican Bay, once you get to Pelican Bay, you're not allowed to leave the shoe no more. So you stay there. And in Corcoran, it's in and out. Like, guys come in, and you can get students to go to the mainland and go profess for the mob, whether it's pick up the seats or, to funnel money or whatever. So that's what the advantage Tudi had. And so at this time, Tudi was told, hey, Artie's getting stepped down, so this way, make sure you eradicate all that.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
It was Tudy's job to eradicate, Tudi and Widow's job to eradicate all the behavior that Artie left behind as far as taxing Sureños and everything. So they had to do it, and so Tudi had he was responsible for all that. So when he got there, there was a carnal at the time that was freshly made. He was made in Victorville by the name of Mando from Hard Times, Orange County. So he comes from the feds, and he drives up, and Tudi moves him in. And when he moves him in, Tudi tells him, no, you're a brother now, this is your responsibility. So he gave him responsibility orders to, when Mando was to get out, his orders were to take care of Musclehead from Delhi.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Well, Musclehead from Delhi was a brother that was in bad standing at the time. He had to be got. So when Mando got out, it was his duty to take care of, get rid of him. So when he got out, Mando, of course, did not do it. And, of course, everything went bad for that. Tudi's first, instructions that I've ever seen give was, sent to a celly on Mando from Hard Times. So, Tudi sent him to the streets with instructions to handle, Musclehead from Delhi. So that was the case. So Mando paroles, and, we get palabra, as soon as he paroles, we had to get, about a week later, we get a message back from Mando saying the summer heat is on, and basically he was back in the county jail. And he didn't do nothing that he was supposed to do. Instead, he got caught with 10 money orders for $100 each. He was going to send money to 10 different MM members, $100 each. So there went that. And then, anyway, that was another story. But as far as Tudi, yeah, Tudi's whole team was taking over Corcoran. So he steps Artie down. And Artie's palabra came from the Bay to step Artie down, which I'm sure everybody remembers. That Artie was, getting stripped at the time. So Tudi has me sending word to all the prisoners to disregard Artie, and anybody working for Artie was to give one warning to step down or get stabbed off the yard. Well, unfortunately, that didn't work out as planned because a lot of Sureños took advantage of that and stabbed Artie's workers without, giving them the option to step down. And so that was another headache in itself because, Tudi, at the same time, he was, Tudi went from no money to inheriting over $30,000 in the course of a week. He inherited every single worker that Artie had, so that's how Tudi's name blew up throughout California. And everybody assumed that a lot of Sureños didn't know no better, so they assumed that since Tudi inherited all of Artie's business, that Tudi was more of a powerful carnal than everybody knew. But that's not the case. It's just that at the time, Tudi just came up on the phone book, on his address book, to get a hold of all of Artie's workers. And he came up on all the workers, so all of a sudden, from overnight, Tudi's name blew up. So everybody was like, Tudi's real unknown, influential brother, which in fact he wasn't. He just inherited, about 300-400 workers in the course of a week. And all these guys were sending him money, so Tudi was blowing up. And yeah, he made his name right there, man. And as time went on, the hunger strikes come, and, the carnales from the Bay come, and they say, hey, what's going on down here? And Tudi's like, hey, well, we're down here on Triple CMS in order to stay in Corcoran Shoe. So the canales said, hey, being on Triple CMS is a disgrace. However, we appreciate what you guys are doing is taking away this Artie mentality, which was taxing Sureños and all this. So he said, because Artie had this from King Cobras, had this thing where, I believe I mentioned it before in other interviews, where if you got in a fight, he'd charge you $500 if you got in a fight with your cellmate in the shoe. Or if you dealt with did business with black people, $300. If you lost mail, $300. If you anything you did, any infraction, you were getting hacked. So
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
It was Tudi's job to take this stuff away and let it be known, no. So there was an arrangement where I told Tudi when he asked me to be his secretary, I said no problem. This was in 2007, so I said no problem. I'll help you, man. But it wasn't a secretary; it was more to handle his affairs. So that's what Tudi's responsibility was, to stop all that stuff from going on. And, yeah, man, slowly but surely he did. But as time went on, Sureños would get caught with mail. And Tudi would tell me, go ahead and let them pay me the money if they want to pay me. And I'm like, no, he started changing up and switching up on us. And nah, man, he became no different than Artie. You know, he was collecting all this money from Sureños, taxing them if they got caught with mail or anything. He would tell them, yeah, just send the money. And he had this thing, if you wanted to work for him, he had a thing where you would call it send a token of your appreciation. That was his way of saying, send me money and you can work for me. So, anyways, he tells the carnales, when the carnales came, Fernie from Dog Patch, Sleepy from Weedmas, and at the time, Rascal from Calexico, and Derco from Bassett, they had came down and they told him, if you want to stay in Corcoran, you have to start sending money to the brothers in the Bay because that's part of, you know, being in Corcoran and enjoying the luxuries. So he said, Simone, as time went on, Tudi, him, gradually, he was sending, you know, $100 to $300, you know, every now and then to one or two brothers in the Bay, and that was it. So the carnales started noticing this because Tudi's name was statewide. He was in every facility. He had a seat on the mesa. So the brothers were getting jealous. I mean, well, you know, I guess you could say the word jealousy. That's a word, that's something nobody likes to admit that they have. So his name started getting everywhere that the brothers were not liking it. So, you know, they started asking him questions like, what's going on? Why is your name everywhere? You know, and Tudi's excuse was, oh, I'm just giving the little youngsters advice, but they want to send me money. Well, as time went on, Tudi started dealing with his brother on the streets. He started making a vato named David or Radio out of Orange County. He made him a carnal. And this was in 2013. Well, at the time, Güero had just went to Pelican Bay. So Tudi, how do you say, his brother started collecting money with this vato Radio, who allegedly was a carnal. Pelican Bay had said he's not a carnal. So, you know, these guys were abusing their authority. They were taking extra money. So, you know, he got killed. David got killed in Tijuana coming out of a grocery store. And then his brother, he got killed right there in Ontario, driving on a stoplight on his way to home. So at this point, Tudi gets at me and says, hey, what's going on, man? I need you to help me get work to the Bay so we can fix this situation. And I said, I can't help you. There's nothing I can do. I'm not a brother. So from there on, yeah, man, there was always a bad blood between me and Tudi, but that was basically the situation. He had to go to the Bay because he was being one of his accusations for being ostracized was that he had there was a guy in Benzo from I think Casablanca or Corona, and he was known to be a rat, and he still was Tudi was dealing with this guy, but this guy he had his hand like at a car dealership and giving money to a carnal on the street, so Tudi was also getting money from him, and there was Sureños saying like, hey, he's a rat. So that was one of the accusations. The second was that he was taxing Sureños for money and doing the same thing that Artie was, and Tudi's saying that that's not the case. And third was that he made this vato Radio, and Tudi's actors started denying it, saying, I never made that guy, which everybody knows that's a lie. And at the same time, they were saying that Tudi from Cuca was backing up Little One from Mala Salvatrucha, which was a brother that had got made back then and then disregarded. So the brothers of Bay were requesting him to explain himself, but at the time he wasn't trying to go to the Bay. He figured it was going to fix itself. So, you know, obviously all this going on, his situation wasn't going to get fixed, being that his brother was harmed in the process, and once blood is drawn, you can't come back from that. You know, that's just the way it is. I mean, blood being drawn on his brother is no different than his blood being drawn, you know. So, I mean, right now he's in the RCGP and the restrictive confinement general population, and he's going to stay there, you know, because unless he comes to this side, you know.